Brian Vickers' wife's Epstein connection. What happens when a NASCAR champion's private life collides with Jeffrey Epstein? NASCAR driver Brian Vickers married Sarah Kellen in 2013, years before she'd be widely identified in court records and reporting as a former assistant in Jeffrey Epstein's circle. As lawsuits and criminal cases unfolded, her name kept appearing. Federal filings tied to the 2008 Florida non-prosecution deal listed her as a potential co-conspirator. At Ghislaine Maxwell's 2022 sentencing, the judge discussed sentencing guidelines in terms of Maxwell supervising another criminally responsible participant, explicitly pointing to Sarah Kellen in that role, while the parties argued the record. Kellen has not been charged with a crime. Through attorneys, she has denied wrongdoing, and some coverage has noted she says she too was a victim. Still, witnesses and investigative reports have long described her as scheduling massages that prosecutors said were a gateway to abuse, details that kept her name in headlines as the case widened. In April 2025, Vickers reemerged on social media to say he and Sarah were divorcing after 10 years, a terse, careful note that underscored how radioactive the topic had become. For Vickers, a former Cup Rookie of the Year and multi-race winner, it was a jarring coda. The measured language of a driver once known for on-track daring, now navigating a story bigger and darker than racing. It's a reminder that the Epstein saga's shockwaves reached far beyond Manhattan courtrooms and Palm Beach depositions, brushing even the quiet edges of the NASCAR world. Neil Bonnett's fatal Daytona practice crash, 1994. Neil Bonnett, a beloved veteran racer and member of the Alabama gang, lost his life during a practice session for the 1994 Daytona 500. On February 11, 1994, Bonnett's Chevrolet spun out between turns 3 and 4 at Daytona and slammed head-on into the wall at roughly 190 miles per hour. A broken shock mount on his car caused the rear end to lose grip, sending the car onto the apron and then shooting back up the banking into the wall with a thunderous impact. Bonnett, 47, suffered massive head injuries and was pronounced dead shortly after the crash, despite immediate medical attention. His death shocked the NASCAR community. Bonnett had been making a comeback after a prior near-fatal crash, and he was a close friend of Dale Earnhardt, who himself would die at Daytona 7 years later. Tragically, just 3 days after Bonnett's crash, another driver, Rodney Orr, was killed in a separate practice accident at Daytona. The twin fatalities during Speedweeks 1994 exposed the grim dangers of the sport's high speeds and led to renewed scrutiny on safety. For example, the crashes effectively ended the Goodyear and Hoosier tire war, then raging in NASCAR. It remains one of the darkest chapters in Daytona's history, seldom revisited in highlight reels due to its heartbreaking outcome. SHR's 2023 counterfeit part penalty on the number 14. In 2023, Stewart Haas Racing, SHR, was embroiled in a cheating scandal when NASCAR discovered a counterfeit part on the number 14 Ford, driven by Chase Briscoe. After the 29th of May, 2023 Coca-Cola 600, Briscoe's car was randomly taken to NASCAR's R&D Center, where inspectors found an illegally modified engine panel NACA duct that violated the strict single-source parts rule of the next-gen car. NASCAR officials deemed it a counterfeit part, essentially a fake or altered component meant to create an aerodynamic advantage, and levied an L3 level penalty, the harshest in the rulebook. SHR's number 14 team was slammed with a 120-point deduction in driver and owner standings, the loss of 25 playoff points, a $250,000 fine, and a 6-race crew chief suspension. This was one of the most severe penalties in NASCAR history, reflecting zero tolerance for tampering with next-gen spec parts. NASCAR's EVP of competition, Elton Sawyer, expressed shock that SHR would go down this path given the known consequences. The team did not appeal, and the infamous counterfeit duct, reportedly a part supplied by a company founded by SHR co-owner Gene Haas's F1 team principal, became a cautionary tale. The incident cast a dark cloud over SHR's 2023 season and was a story largely glossed over on TV broadcasts due to its embarrassing nature for a top team. HScott Motorsports' sudden shutdown, 2016. HScott Motorsports, a mid-pack NASCAR Cup team, collapsed abruptly after the 2016 season amid financial turmoil. The team, owned by Harry Scott Jr., fielded cars for Clint Bowyer and Michael Annett in 2016, but struggled with performance and sponsorship. The darkest revelations came when Clint Bowyer sued HScott Motorsports immediately after the season finale, alleging the team missed over $2.2 million in payments owed to him. Bowyer's lawsuit claimed HScott was in dire financial distress, using money owed to him to pay other debts, and that the owner was liquidating assets, including selling the team's valuable NASCAR charter, without paying Bowyer. Court filings revealed the team failed to pay Bowyer for 2 months of his salary, over $1.2 million, and at least $1 million in commissions for sponsorships Bowyer had brought, like 5-Hour Energy and Peak. The legal battle was settled out of court, but not before exposing how quickly a NASCAR operation could implode. HScott Motorsports indeed shut down, selling its charter and equipment to pay creditors. The sudden collapse left Bowyer, a high-profile driver, and many employees in limbo. It was a sobering episode, rarely discussed on highlight shows, that underscored the precarious economics of the sport. A team that had competed on Sundays was here one day and gone the next, amid lawsuits and accusations of unpaid bills. Team hauler highway crashes, injuries, and fatalities. One often overlooked dark aspect of NASCAR is the danger teams face off the track, hauling their cars from race to race on highways. Over the years, there have been several horrific team hauler accidents resulting in injuries and even death. In March 2022, a highway crash involving David Gilliland Racing's ARCA Series hauler tragically killed hauler driver Steven Stotts, 54, and injured 2 crew members en route to a race in Phoenix. The accident occurred on Interstate 20 in Texas when the hauler failed to slow in time and struck another vehicle's trailer, causing the rig to overturn and catch fire. Stotts' passing sent shockwaves through the garage, a grim reminder that life on the road can be as perilous as on the track. Other hauler incidents have fortunately not been fatal but were still harrowing. In October 2019, Colleague Racing's number 10 Xfinity team hauler suffered a crash on I-40 when the driver had a medical episode, sending the truck through a guardrail and down an embankment. The driver and co-driver were seriously hurt, though survived, and the team's cars were damaged. That same week, JTG Daugherty Racing's number 47 Cup hauler caught fire in transit, destroying equipment. Even as recently as August 2025, a club racing ARCA hauler flipped after the driver fell asleep on an overnight drive. Miraculously, no one was injured, but the team's car was wrecked and an $80,000 loss incurred. These sobering incidents, rarely televised, highlight the hidden hazards NASCAR crews face on America's highways. Teams now emphasize driver safety and fatigue management for their hauler drivers, but the risk of a highway tragedy remains an ever-present dark cloud over the sport. Jeff Bodine's Savage Daytona truck Inferno, 2000. In February 2000, NASCAR veteran Jeff Bodine survived one of the most terrifying crashes in the sport's history, a wreck so violent and fiery that it's seldom replayed on television. It occurred during the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Daytona. Bodine's truck was caught in a multi-vehicle melee on the front stretch, got airborne into the catch fence at approximately 190 miles per hour, and disintegrated in a massive fireball. The impact tore down approximately 50 feet of fencing and sent debris into the grandstands, injuring 5 spectators. Bodine's truck literally blew apart. The engine ripped out and landed in the infield grass amid black smoke, as the truck tumbled down the track, flipping at least 8 to 10 times. It was struck by other trucks, further shredding the vehicle. Miraculously, Bodine survived. He was left with serious injuries, a concussion, a fractured wrist, a broken vertebra, and facial lacerations, but was alert and in stable condition after the crash. "I've never had a wreck like that in my life," Bodine said later, and even his brother Todd Bodine remarked it was one of the most violent wrecks you'll ever see. Given the carnage, it's incredible that all fans and drivers lived. The accident, occurring in the first ever truck race at Daytona, drew comparisons to the infamous 1987 Bobby Allison crash, which had prompted safety changes. NASCAR quickly reinforced catch fences and looked at slowing trucks after Bodine's crash, but for many, the image of Bodine's number 15 truck erupting into an inferno and cartwheeling down Daytona's front stretch remains seared in memory, a dark reminder of how dangerous racing can be, and a scene deemed too horrific for ESPN except in news reports. The 1997 All-Star T-Rex car, legal that night, outlawed after. The 1997 NASCAR All-Star race, the Winston, saw Jeff Gordon unveil the infamous T-Rex car, a machine so advanced that NASCAR banned it almost immediately after it dominated the event. Nicknamed T-Rex for its Jurassic Park paint scheme and the involvement of Hendrick engineer Rex Stump, the number 24 Chevrolet exploited every gray area in the rulebook. Gordon won the All-Star race in emphatic fashion, and the car breezed through post-race inspection because, technically, it did not violate any rule at the time. However, its on-track performance raised eyebrows. NASCAR officials, unsettled by how trick the car was, told team owner Rick Hendrick and crew chief Ray Evernham in no uncertain terms not to bring it back. In fact, NASCAR added new rules pages to outlaw the T-Rex's innovations the very next week. That car had no cheating on it. It was built by what the rules were, and it never became illegal until after the Winston when NASCAR wrote rules to make the car illegal, Evernham later explained. laughing at the legend that grew around it. The T-Rex featured an over-engineered chassis with raised door bars, a reconfigured rear suspension, and aerodynamic tweaks that gave Gordon a huge advantage. NASCAR's response, effectively banning the car through rule changes, turned T-Rex into a one-hit wonder. It's remembered as the car that was legal for one night only and then deemed extinct. This bizarre tale of a car being too good for NASCAR rarely gets airtime on broad sports networks, but it's a favorite legend among hardcore fans. The ultimate example of legal cheating that forced NASCAR's hand. Larry Mann, first NASCAR Cup driver killed, 1952. The first driver fatality in NASCAR's top series is a somber story largely lost to time. Larry Mann, born Lawrence Zuckerman, an independent racer from Yonkers, holds the tragic distinction of being the first NASCAR Cup Grand National driver to die during an event. It happened on September 14, 1952, at the notoriously treacherous Langhorne Speedway, a one-mile dirt oval nicknamed Puke Hollow for its rough, perilous surface. During that 250-mile race, Mann's green number 43 Hudson Hornet, ironically dubbed the Green Hornet, lost control around lap 211 in the slick, rain-dampened dirt. Witnesses say the car clipped the guardrail and flipped end over end 3 times, tearing through the track's fence before coming to rest against trees outside the turn. Mann, 28, suffered critical head and internal injuries. He was rushed to Nazareth Hospital near Philadelphia, but pronounced dead that evening from a pulmonary hemorrhage and multiple trauma. Until that dark day, NASCAR had gone over 4.5 years without a fatality in competition. Mann's death shattered that brief safety record and underscored how dangerous early stock car racing was, especially at Langhorne, considered the most dangerous track in America at the time. His passing received little fanfare. NASCAR was still a budding sport, and in the years since, Larry Mann's name has faded into the archives. But among racing historians, he is remembered as a poignant first, the first NASCAR Cup driver to pay the ultimate price, a stark reminder of the sport's lethal beginnings in the 1950s. Elliott Sadler's violent Talladega flips, 2003 to 2004. Elliott Sadler experienced back-to-back years of terrifying flips at Talladega Superspeedway that are as spectacular as they are frightening. In the October 2003 Talladega Cup race, Sadler's number 38, Ford was nudged into a spin at nearly 190 miles per hour, which lifted the car off the ground. The car went airborne, slid upside down across the infield grass, then began a series of vicious barrel rolls, flipping twice, then 6 times before coming to rest upright in a crumpled heap. Incredibly, Sadler emerged under his own power and was not seriously injured. He later described the eerie feeling during the accident. When you flip or get airborne, everything goes quiet, a surreal calm, before the violent impacts resume. Safety crews were at his side within seconds, and aside from being shaken up, Sadler was cleared to race the next week. Amazingly, almost exactly 1 year later, October 2004 at Talladega, Sadler went for another wild ride. This time, his car got airborne on the final lap. It flipped once, landed on its roof, then self-corrected post-roof landing as it skidded across the finish line. Once again, Sadler walked away unhurt. These 2 crashes, massive airborne tumbles in consecutive years, cemented Sadler's unwanted reputation for Talladega mayhem. NASCAR fans often reference his back-to-back flips with awe, but TV broadcasts typically only show them fleetingly, given how graphic the wrecks looked. In retrospect, Sadler's Talladega tumbles highlighted both the freakish nature of superspeedway aerodynamics and the effectiveness of safety measures like roof flaps and cage reinforcement. It's a dark joke in NASCAR circles that Elliott Sadler spent 2003 and 2004 on his roof at Talladega, a testament to 2 of the scariest crashes of the era, from which he was lucky to survive unscathed. Tire soaking and traction control accusations era, 1990s to 2000s. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, NASCAR was mired in allegations of clandestine cheating techniques, notably chemically soaking tires for extra grip and secretly using traction control devices. One infamous saga, dubbed Tiregate, unfolded in 1998 when rival owners accused Jeff Gordon's number 24 team of softening their tires to gain an edge in long runs. The controversy boiled over after Gordon won several races with 2 tire pit stops, beating teams that took 4 tires, defying conventional logic. Jack Roush publicly alleged that Gordon's crew had found a way to consistently make 2 tires outrun 4 and insisted they must be softening the tires illegally. NASCAR officials seized tires from Gordon's and Mark Martin's cars for analysis. Initial inspections found nothing amiss, and extensive lab tests ultimately came back clean. No penalties were issued, but the accusations created a cloud of suspicion and bad blood. Evernham and Roush traded barbs in the media. It was a drama seldom explained on TV, but hardcore fans recall the nastiness of that period. Simultaneously, traction control, electronic systems to prevent wheel spin, was NASCAR's underground buzzword. Traction control was banned in NASCAR, but because devices could be made very small, fit in a driver's pocket, and hard to detect, whispers ran rampant that some top teams were sneaking them in. In the early 2000s, Jeff Gordon's team again came under scrutiny. After a dominant win at Atlanta in 2003, competitors quietly suggested Gordon's uncanny drive off the high corners meant he had to be using traction control. NASCAR even hauled Gordon's rear axle to the R&D center, but found no evidence of a device. Still, many in the garage were convinced that traction control had been a common thing, hidden in plain sight. Drivers and crew chiefs would make veiled comments about certain rivals' sudden advantage in handling. NASCAR ramped up electronics inspections and even employed auditory sensors to sniff out TC systems, but no smoking gun was ever made public. This era of unproven but persistent cheating accusations was a dark undercurrent to NASCAR's competition, rarely overtly discussed on broadcasts, yet an open secret in the garage that tested NASCAR's policing abilities and, some say, the integrity of the sport. It wasn't until later that NASCAR's car technology and inspection methods caught up to quash these murmurs for good. Front Row and Phil Parsons' 2015 number 98 sponsorship drama. Underfunded teams often have chaotic behind-the-scenes stories, and in 2015 the small number 98 team went through a saga, emblematic of the sport's financial dark side. Phil Parsons Racing, owned by former driver Phil Parsons, fielded the number 98 car with driver Josh Wise, a lovable underdog who had even secured a cryptocurrency-fueled Dogecoin sponsorship in 2014 thanks to Reddit fans. But by 2015, funding had dried up. The team scraped by with occasional sponsors, and rumors swirled by spring that Parsons was selling the team. Indeed, in May 2015, it was confirmed that Phil Parsons Racing's assets, the number 98 entry, were sold to Jay Robinson's Premium Motorsports mid-season. This abrupt sale effectively shut down PPR, and Josh Wise parted ways with the organization. Insiders described it as Parsons cashing in while he could, a harsh blow to Wise, who had stuck with the team hoping to build it up. The drama included confusion over ownership. Technically, Mike Curb was listed as the number 98 owner, and the involvement of Front Row Motorsports. Wise had previously driven for FRM, and the number 98 had some alliances with FRM for equipment. In fact, the Beyond the Flag Racing blog noted that Wise's Cup career had mostly been with underfunded teams lacking sponsors like PPR and Front Row Motorsports. After the sale, Wise moved to the Premium Motorsports team, which many viewed as a step backwards given Premium's track record of DNQs and struggle. The entire episode highlighted the precarious nature of small NASCAR teams. 1 minute, an improbable fan-driven sponsor campaign, like Dogecoin, can put you in the spotlight, and the next, the team is gone due to money problems. It's a story of broken funding promises and backroom deals that ESPN and major outlets glossed over. But within the NASCAR community, it served as a cautionary tale about how hard it is to keep an independent team alive without deep pockets. And that wraps up part 6 of NASCAR Stories Too Dark for ESPN. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 5 yet, check them out in the description. Each dives into another haunting chapter of the sport's past. Thanks for watching the NASCAR Explainer. Hit subscribe so you never miss the next story hiding in the shadows of stock car racing.